Your words are worthless to your wife right now. They carry zero weight, nothing. And in this video, I'm going to show you why that is and what you can actually start doing to making the real changes that restores your marriage and keeps your family together. And if you're watching this video, you're probably telling your wife that you've changed, trying to get her to believe that now is the time that she should give you that one last chance. And it's likely falling on deaf ears. She's probably saying, well, you changed before. What makes me believe it this time? Or just flat out believes you can't change. And you're probably terrified because you know that this is the time that you need her to believe this more than ever. And you're sitting here asking yourself, how do I get her to believe I can change? And that's exactly what I help my clients with, and exactly what this channel is for, to help men whose wives don't believe they can change. And the fact that your wife doesn't believe you're changed right now points to one thing. She's in a state of hopelessness. She no longer believes that change can occur. She's given up faith in your ability to actually become a man who can meet her needs. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through, like I said, why that is and exactly what you need to do to restore that faith. But it's not by changing her mind. It's by doing something completely different. It's creating a new story. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. And if there's one thing I want you to take from this video, is that you cannot change anything just through words. You can't let go of that. Now let's talk about what you can do instead. And you're trying to talk her out of this hopelessness. You're trying to convince her that she should believe in you, that she should believe that this time is different. And that will never, ever work because she now has a story that you can never change. And you can never, ever talk her out of that story. But you can create a much more powerful story for her to believe in. Most guys waste weeks, if not months, trying to go down this path, and they eat up so much of this precious time. Like once that light bulb flips and she says, I'm done, I want out, all those types of things, like the clock is ticking. You cannot waste that time doing things that don't work. And every time you try to convince her, you're not just eating up that time, but you're also proving to her that she's right. So you have a choice. You can keep doing what you know doesn't work, which is trying to convince her, or you can begin the true transformation and create a new story that she can believe in. Right? A story that makes her believe that by being with you, her needs can get met. She can get what she's really looking for. And creating a new story isn't about manipulating. It's not about convincing. It's not about just changing some quick behaviors. There's no tactics or magic pills. It's about true, deep transformation that transforms who you are as a man. And that character creates a story that your wife wants to be a part, that your wife wants to believe in. And when you create that story, that's when things really begin to change. Because right now, your wife feels hopeless. She feels like everything she's tried to do to fix the marriage hasn't worked. Now, whether she actually tried, whether she actually said something, whether she actually gave you a chance is irrelevant. She feels that she has. And that's the important thing. So because she feels like she's tried everything and nothing's worked, she now has the story that you can't change, that this is hopeless. And that's where she's at. And remember this, our stories are our conduits to getting our needs met. So your wife has a story that you can't change, that this can never change. That allows her to make the changes, to leave the marriage, to get the needs that she wants, the needs that she's been feeling deprived of inside the marriage. This story of you can't change empowers her to leave. That's why it's there. That's why she holds on to it so tightly no matter what you say. It's why your words don't work. Because what you're trying to do is block off her only exit to getting her needs met. And why would she accept that? That doesn't make any sense. So that's what stories do. And that's why your wife has a story of hopelessness. So instead, you have to create a new, more powerful story, a story that says, I have changed. I am a better man. I will keep being a better man. I am never going back to the way I was. And it has to be such a compelling story. It has to be something that is undeniable, easy for her to believe because of how you're showing up. And that new story creates a new path to her getting her needs met that doesn't involve all the carnage and chaos that comes with leaving. It's a more attractive path to getting those same needs met at an even higher level than her old plan, right? That old path. So you're creating a new path with less damage and her needs being fulfilled at an even higher rate. That's what you're creating here. That's what it means to create a new story. And you can't create that story through superficial changes. There's no magic pills. There's no, oh, just do X, Y, and Z kind of thing. That doesn't work. It takes real transformation. It takes you actually becoming that man. So how do we do this? Well, first, we have to stop all convincing language. Stop trying to change her mind through your words. Just abandon that. Accept that this will never work. I'm not even going to waste my energy there. Then we have to move from superficial working on things to addressing things at the root level, right? Creating that real transformation. So let me give you an example that you probably experienced. Most clients I worked with go down this path of she's saying there's not enough help around the house. And in the past, when she said this, maybe you changed, maybe you started helping out with the dishes more, maybe you started helping out with the kids, maybe you started cleaning up more, maybe cooked a couple times, whatever, but you stopped. You weren't consistent. And that's because you were dealing with that at the superficial level. You were just trying to alleviate whatever she was talking about. And there's quite a few problems with that. One, you're not doing it because you authentically want it, because you want to become a man who shows up in the house like he shows up everywhere else in life. Two, you were relying on willpower. You're trying to force yourself to make these changes versus understanding what was blocking you from doing it in the first place and addressing those so it becomes easy and effortless to do it versus having to force yourself, because willpower is finite. It breaks down over time and usually when you need it the most. So you rely on willpower when you should have been addressing the root issues. And maybe you're one of the rare few who actually tried to address the root issue, but you didn't go deep enough. How did I know you didn't go deep enough? Because you went backwards. You weren't consistent. That's how I know. And what does deep enough look like? So let's talk about helping around the house. Did you understand why you weren't helping out in the beginning, right? Was it that you're just too busy? Work? Was it because you have a belief that it's her role and her job to be doing this? Was it because you grew up in a household where that's what it looked like and you're trying to adhere to those norms that you grew up with? Like, what was it? Maybe you believe that, oh, well, I'm doing all this other stuff and not here. And there's an unfairness conversation, right? That's going into the deeper levels and working there. You figure out what does it take to make sure, and this is really the path of mastery in anything. It comes down to two questions. What do I do to make sure this either always happens from this point forward, or what do I do to make sure this never happens again? Those are the two answers that allows you to go into the deep transformation to actually make sure your changes stick. And you didn't do that before, so now you have to do it now, and you have to do it at a much higher level because she has this belief that you can't change. So a lot of guys come to me and they complain, it's like, I feel like I have to be perfect now. And you kind of do in the short term, not forever, but in the short term, because she has this belief. She's not looking for hope that you can't change anymore. And that's why it feels like you have to be perfect. So you have to change that. And listen, I know this sounds like a lot, but you are capable of this. There are areas in your life where you have done this and you've done it successfully. You just have to put in the work. And unfortunately, everybody's just looking on YouTube, trying to figure out, okay, what's this technique? What's this hack? Let me read this book and this book. And they're looking for the answers there, where the answers come in here. The real transformation comes in here. This is where you need to place the focus. That's why I'm giving you this guideline. And down below, I'm going to give you some resources that will take you even deeper than this. But this is where you need to focus if you're serious about making change, if you're serious about truly transforming, if you want to go beyond the words. And if you do this work at the root level, you're not going to have to worry about whether she believes you can change or not, because you have changed, you have transformed, you are now a different man. And from that place, your new story will eventually overtake her old one, and you will be just fine. But you have to do this work. You can't wait for her to give you permission. You can't wait for her to say, oh, if you do these things, I'll change my mind. You have to go first. Leaders go first. And if you want to lead this marriage back into reconciliation, back into stability, back into being better than it ever was, you have to go first. So stop relying on words and start getting to work. I'll catch you on the next video.